Hey everyone, my name is Sheena Yapchan and super excited to be here today. Hope you're having a fantastic day and you're enjoying all the amazing talks so far. And today my talk will be on centering human in AI-driven assessment. I know AI is on the rise. Every day there's something new in AI, but we also have to remind ourselves that AI is a tool and it only works when humans input it. And of course, it's still, even in this AI-driven world, we're still going to need human connection because it'll make things better. So I'm going to get started. And if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A box. I'm just going to put a full screen to get started. And then towards the end, I'll check out if you have any questions. So centering the human in AI-driven assessment. So here's a quote I want to share with you to start with the presentation. Technology works when it amplifies human potential, not when it tries to replace it. So remember that. It works best when it amplifies human potential, not when it tries to replace it. So the challenge, when efficiency outpaces empathy, right? AI is transforming assessment, of course, automated scoring, speed and scalability, but at what cost to nuance? Adaptive testing, precision tailoring, but who controls the algorithm? Predictive analytics, data-driven forecasting, but can it account for context? And so even though AI is transforming all those things, the human element is disappearing. So when decisions are outsourced to algorithms, learners become data points, educators become system operators, confidence, creativity, and cultural context fall through the cracks. So innovation without empathy risks building tools that are efficient but not equitable. So this is so important because it's still going to need our human connection to create the best outcomes possible. And again, AI is a tool. It's a tool that we can use to our liking to use to help others create the best results. So the human cost in AI-driven assessment. As AI reshapes how we assess, subtle but serious human costs emerge. So confidence gaps grow wider. Learners question their self-worth when they're scored by black box systems. Educators lose trust in tools they don't understand or can't influence. When feedback lacks human nuance, belief in one's potential erodes. And I think that belief is so important. The confidence gap is a disconnect between how capable you are versus how capable you feel. And every time that gap widens, it hurts us. So it's really important to understand, even though with the new technology that keeps changing every single day, we have the capacity to keep moving forward, to utilize this tool to benefit us. Invisibility becomes the default. Algorithmic decisions are rarely explained or challenged. Marginalized identities risk being flattened, misread, or excluded. Cultural bias and data blind spots quietly shape outcomes. And also disconnection from human-centered leadership. Empathy takes a backseat to efficiency. Authentic dialogue gets replaced by dashboards. The human guide, the mentor, the coach, the advocate feels less relevant. So are we designing for efficiency or for equity? And if equity isn't the default, who gets left behind? So this is huge because sometimes we feel like AI is replacing us, and we have to understand that, AI is a tool that we can use for ourselves to build more equity. We can do efficiency and equity at the same time. And even though AI is going to automate a lot of things, some of the things that we were once taught, the soft skills will be the hard skills that we would need to learn, like leadership, confidence, perseverance, emotional intelligence, because when we can input these in AI systems, it becomes better. So yes, it still needs the human touch. We can't take it. We can't. We can't leave that behind. We have to take that into effect. So why confidence matters. So insights from the Tao of Self-Confidence and Bridging the Confidence Gap. So both of those are my books talking about confidence. The Tao of Self-Confidence is also a podcast that I started from 10 years ago where I've interviewed over 800 women on the topic of confidence. And this is huge because for me, confidence, it plays a huge part in our careers, whether it's personal or career driven. So here's some of the things that I've learned in my own confidence journey. Confidence is not vanity, it's visibility. True confidence isn't about ego, it's about being seen, heard, and valued. I think that's so important, especially, if you grew up in spaces where you feel when you feel like you had to play small or be invisible. Also, in AI-driven systems, the confident get represented, the invisible get overlooked. So it's really important to show up to be seen so you don't get overlooked. A lot of us also feel like if we do the work speaks for itself, but that's not how it works, right? Unfortunately, um, you also have to learn to showcase your work, to be the person, to be the advocate of your work as well. Learners and educators need space to show up fully, not just perform for a metric. Self-trust fuels learner resilience. Confidence empowers learners to take risks, recover from failure, and stay engaged. Without it, students disengage, doubt their ability, or distrust the process. Assessment should build learners up, not break them down. So self-trust is so important. We have to realize we are more than capable to make things happen. And when we build on that self-trust, that's how we start taking action and doing the things that we're meant to do. Invisible learners equals undeserved learners. If a student doesn't fit the data mold, they get misread or missed entirely. Cultural nuances, neurodiversity, language differences, all risk being erased. Visibility is the first step toward equity. So being seen is important. For me, visibility is something that I talk about all the time because it is important to be seen. It is important to have better representation, to show others what's possible, especially if you want an equitable environment. We need people from different walks of life, different cultures to show up and be the leader that they're meant to be. So now confidence isn't a soft skill, it's a design imperative. When learners believe in themselves and systems believe in them, the whole ecosystem rises. So here's going to be some of the learning objectives we have. So by the end of this session, you'll be able to recognize how confidence and visibility gaps undermine trust in AI assessments, apply visibility-centered strategies to humanize AI in assessment, and create a confidence-driven design roadmap that builds equity, trust, and clarity into assessment innovation. So if you're excited, we'll continue. So here's a framework that I've created. It's called the Visible Framework, and it's a model for centering the human experience in AI-driven systems, especially in the context of assessment. It's designed to ensure that technology amplifies rather than erases the individuality, context, and potential of those it touches. This framework reminds us that equitable assessment isn't just about accuracy, it's also about trust, clarity, and inclusion. Each pillar invites designers, educators, and leaders to build systems that reflect empathy, transparency, and empowerment. So if you see the visible framework, each pillar, it represents a letter from the word visible, and each letter represents something. So V is for voice, I is identity, S is for spotlight, I is inner work, B is belief, L is leverage, and E is elevation. And in the next slide, we'll go a little bit deeper for each pillar. And I really enjoyed creating this because when it comes to being visible and confidence, it's important to have inner and outer work so that we can show up as our best self. So here's the element and what you can do. So voice, amplify diverse perspectives in AI design and feedback. It's so important to speak up, to share diverse perspectives, to have different solutions, different ways to innovate, right? They say insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and creating a different result, and that doesn't work. So this is why it's important to amplify diverse voices, to show up, to speak up, even when it's scary. I is for identity, honor learners' lived experience and cultural context. I think this is so important because a lot of us have different cultural upbringings, different lived experiences, different stories that we can contribute to giving the best work possible, right? Sometimes we feel like being different is a liability when it could be our greatest strength. And I had to learn that the hard way too. I grew up in Toronto, and Toronto is a very multicultural city. And it wasn't, but the only problem was it wasn't represented in the media. So I always felt ashamed of who I was. I felt ashamed of my culture. I wanted to look a certain way to feel accepted. And I didn't realize that who I truly am is really what will help me stand out, move forward, and be the person that I need to be. So, think about all the lived experiences you have, some of the things you've been through, sharing that, and how you can input that in your in your assessment career. S is for spotlight, right? Make human choices and AI logic visible to all users. Nothing happens if nothing happens, right? And the spotlight sometimes can be super scary, but in order for people to see who you are and what you do, you have to spotlight the things you've been able to create, um, and be able to communicate it in a way that helps others understand. So don't be afraid to make those human choices, utilize AI logic to be visible for all users, because it helps create a win-win situation. Inner work. Encourage reflection for authentic leadership. I think this is so important when it comes to being a leader. We have to learn to work on ourselves, right? Work on our mindset, work on the traumas we've been through, right? Trauma plays a huge role in our life, and we don't realize if we don't work through them, we're not going to show up as our best self. So learning to heal from that, learning to think of the things that's stopping us from moving forward and how we can heal from that. Being able to listen to positive audio, reading books, attending talks like this. It's so important to work on your mindset. When it comes to confidence, they say it's like an 80-20 principle, 80% mindset and 20% action. And if we don't work on ourselves, we're not going to show up as our authentic self and be the leader that we're meant to be. B is belief, instill trust in systems, people, and potential, right? So it is important to have that belief, not just in systems, people, and potential, but in also our own potential, because we're not going to go out there and take the first step or create something awesome if we don't have that belief in ourselves. And having that belief doesn't always mean you have to know everything. You just know you're going to make it happen. You're more than capable to figure it out regardless of the circumstances. And I know it's sometimes easier said than done, because a lot of us feel like we're not good enough, we're not capable enough, there's someone better out there. But you're here for a reason. You have skills and talents that you can help create something magical. And then you can also use that belief and instill it on others, on your community, on your team, in the systems that you've created. So this is, I think, one of the most important things when it comes to confidence, because I've seen so many people fear taking the first step because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in the things that they are doing. So make sure you have that belief, right? Leverage, use AI as a tool, not a crutch, right? Like I mentioned, AI is a tool, and it only works if we have the right prompts to create something amazing, right? I know sometimes people think, we can't trust AI, but if we use AI for good, we can create amazing things, right? I use AI in everything that I do because it helps me automate the things that were tedious, and it helps me get in my own zone of genius. When I can utilize a tool to help spread my message, my branding, it makes things so much better. It amplifies it. So don't be afraid to use it for your own things, for the assessments that you've created. Again, when you utilize it to put in your spin, that human connection to it, that human point to it, it makes it a lot better. So sometimes we feel like we have to do everything ourselves, but no, we have a tool that we can use to amplify the message, to take it to the next level. And then elevation, designed to uplift, not to rank or reduce. As you're moving up, it's important to bring everyone with you, because that's how we can break barriers, have more leaders, create the changes we want to see. As a leader, it's not about being the first, being in front. It's about walking side by side. And so it's important we have designs that help uplift others, help them be seen, help them realize their capabilities, and it creates this domino effect. So I hope you enjoyed this this visible framework breakdown. It's something that I've really enjoyed creating, and everybody that I've shared this framework to, it's helped them as well in their own careers, in their own journeys. And I've seen other people even share it in their own talks about this framework, saying how I created it and it helps them as well. So it's important to have something that you can work towards your inner and outer self, because both of those is needed in your confidence journey. So here's storytelling in assessment. Data tells us what is happening. Test scores, response times, and error rates give us measurable outcomes, but on their own, data points aren't complete. They lack contents, intention, and emotions, right? So it's important to add that, because storytelling is not just about facts. It's about feelings. It's about the experiences that you have, the emotions that you feel. Stories reveal why it matters. A student's narrative can explain the why behind performance. Maybe it's anxiety, language barriers, cultural dissonance, resilience, or growth. Storytelling adds depth, nuance, dignity to raw metrics. I know a lot of us, we can relate because of the stories that we tell each other. And so it's the same thing in assessment. Storytelling is huge because it can help relate to the person who needs it, to see the feedback they get, the information that they get once you go through that assessment. So you can use case student narratives in assessment, invite learners to reflect on their process before and after an assessment, incorporate voice memos, written reflections, or guided prompts. These narratives don't replace scores, they complement them in meaning. So educators gain insight into effort, mindset, and circumstances, fueling more informed, compassionate responses. So this is so important, right? Being able to get this kind of feedback, and it's not something that you can just add through AI. The emotion that you get from others, it helps it become better and really create the assessment that we want. So when we pair data with stories, we move from judging performance to understanding the person, because in the end, it's a person who's going to want to use this to take this information and make the decisions that they want to make. So that shift is the foundation of truly human-centered assessment. So here's a reflective tool, a confidence check-in. Before you launch or adopt any AI-powered assessment tool, pause and ask. And here's a checklist that you can use. Who benefits and who is invisible? Are the tool's advantages reaching all learners equitably or just a subset? Whose voices and experience were included in its design and whose weren't? Are certain groups, such as multilingual learners, neurodivergent students, marginalized communities, being left out of the data or misrepresented? So, these are questions that we can ask ourselves as we're creating or launching AI-powered assessment tools. Are users informed and empowered? Do educators and students understand how the tool works, or is it a black box? Can users give feedback, challenge results, or opt out without penalty? Is the language used around the tool transparent, inclusive, and easy to understand? Also, where can we build trust, not just accuracy? Does the system promote dignity, respect, and agency? Are confidence and self-worth reinforced through the assessment process? Is the AI being used to support human judgment or to override it, right? So the confidence check-in isn't a compliance box, it's a mindset. It ensures that every AI tool is launched with equity, visibility, and empathy at its core. So this is really important, of course, when we're creating assessment tools, because in the end, we're going to be able to use it, right? We're the ones using it. We want to know if it helps us and gives us the results that we really need versus having AI automate it and not put in these questions, not be able to have these reflective tools as you're launching something. So designing with visibility. To make AI-driven assessments truly human-centered, we must design with visibility, making systems understandable, inclusive, and accountable at every level. So show how decisions are made, model transparency. AI shouldn't be a black box. Users deserve to know what data is collected, how is it interpreted, what rules or models shape the outcome. Transparency isn't just ethical, it builds credibility and trust. So use explainable AI techniques and visual summaries to demystify decisions. So hopefully this kind of helps you out when it comes to designing with visibility and the importance of transparency. Once we have that, it makes things a lot better and a lot clearer as we create these AI-driven assessment tools. Communicate in plain language, replace jargon and technical terms with clear, relatable explanations. If learners and educators can't understand the tool, they can't trust or challenge it. Use language that empowers, not intimidates. Think clarity over complexity. I think this is huge, especially because when we're creating something, especially if we know that language, it's like human nature for us. But for some, it's not. They're not going to understand how it works. They're not going to understand the jargon. So it's important to be clear, be able to communicate to the person in a way that makes them understand. And when you are clear, it makes things a lot easier. Next, it's co-design with educators and learners. The people affected by assessment tools should help shape them. So it involves teachers, students, and communities in design sprints, feedback loops, pilot testing. Co-design ensures the system reflects real-world needs, not just engineering goal. And of course, visibility is empowerment. When people understand the system, they can navigate it, question it, and grow within it. That's how we build assessments that aren't just smarter, but more human. So I hope this kind of helps you out. And then here's a confidence-driven design roadmap. A tool for integrating integrity, empathy, and equity means designing assessments that are not just accurate, but also fair, transparent, and human-centered. Integrity ensures accountability. Empathy brings in the human experience. Equity ensures no one is left behind. When these values guide our use of AI, we build tools people can trust, understand, and benefit equally. So here's some the phases of this roadmap. Audit, identify visibility and confidence gaps, then align, map AI features to learner-centered outcomes, then act, apply the visible framework, assess, continually measure trust, fairness, and clarity. So I hope this confidence-driven design roadmap helps you out as you're creating your AI-powered assessment tools. And so here's some key takeaways. AI doesn't replace empathy, it requires it. Even the smartest systems need human insight to be fair and compassionate. Confidence is foundational to equity. When people believe in themselves, they're more likely to engage, persist, and exceed. Visibility equals trust. Clear, open systems build confidence in the process and its outcomes. You are human in human-centered design. Technology doesn't lead, you do. Your choices shape how AI serves people. And I want to end the presentation with this quote: when you show up with confidence and clarity, you don't just take the test, you transform it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you like, you can connect with me here. I have a barcode where you can connect all my social media, websites, my books, my podcasts, and resources to help you in your own journey with utilizing the visible framework. So feel free to scan the code, check it out. And I'm really grateful that you were here to attend this presentation on confidence, on AI assessment tools, and why it's important to be human driven. So like I mentioned, AI is still a great tool, and it's a tool, and the tool only works if we have our input, our human input. So let me just exit the full screen, and I'm going to check if we have any questions in the Q&A box. Right now, there's no Q&A, but feel free to share any questions that you have. We do have a little bit of time. And yeah, super excited to be here today. Thank you so much again for having me. All right, so we'll wait a little bit if there's a couple minutes if anybody has questions. And if not, we can end a little bit earlier. All right, since there's no questions, I just want to say thank you so much for attending this. Oh, I just got one. Do you have any case studies that you can share applying the frameworks you have discussed today? I don't currently have them now, but feel free to send me a message or send me if you scan the barcode, feel free to send it to me and I can give you some information on that. So yeah, Pam, just feel free to email me, shinayapchan at gmail.com. And yeah, any other questions? All right. So again, thank you. Hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and keep in touch. And hopefully I'll get to see you in the near future. Bye for now.